Um, Welcome everybody to the podcast for Easter Day weekend, the Saints and Miracles of Jesus and Sri Kaleshwar webinar. It's Easter weekend, so we can expect nothing but phenomenal miracles to happen. At the same time, this whole webinar is about miracles and the saints that perform them, but it's also about accelerating our own self-awareness, self-realization, and our ability to access this supernatural energy. So it's time, this is the time that is really perfect for talking about the miracle energy, because we are in the midst of it over this past 1 week and this weekend, especially because it's about the resurrection, which is about the death of the old and the rebirth of the new, and to resurrect that within us, which is divine. So we're going to talk about saints and their miracles, and we're going to talk specifically about Jesus Christ as a self-realized saint, and also Swami Kaleshwar, Shirdi Sai Baba, and all the great saints and the similarities between them and their ability to access the supernatural. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So we just did the opening mantras to invoke the saints, to invoke the divine, to invoke Mother's energy, to invoke the angels and the divine souls to be present here in this webinar, so that everyone can really feel and experience and witness some of that energy. I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Paul Aurier, and I am co-hosting this with Cecilia Trahan.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining our webinar.
The reason why both of us are talking today is because we both studied in India and the United States Sri Kaleshwar's path, which talks about a lot of the miracles that the saints performed. He also talked about that we as everyday people can access and to really connect to the same type of energies. We have the roadmap and the tools by which we can do that. So I am in the Shirdi Sai Temple here in Los Angeles as a backdrop, and this is where we conduct all our seminars and our workshops. In this section, we're going to talk a little bit about our backgrounds. Cecilia had some pretty amazing experiences and miracle darshans in India. I also participated in it while I was in India, and we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk a little bit about the mechanisms. We're going to talk a little bit about how these saints do what they do and what they were able to perform. So hopefully we'll get into that. So I'm going to hand it over to Kalsiki, and she'll talk a little bit about Swami Kaleshwar and Jesus as a comparison of two amazing saints, and also the relationship between both of them and how they were both able to access it. So Kalsiki, go ahead and take it on.
Hi, everybody. As Paul was saying, now's a really good time to connect to the energy that is happening Easter weekend. Jesus was an amazing soul. Swami said he was the highest peak soul that came on the planet. And he performed during his life, and especially at the peak moment, which is called the crucifixion, which is really a transcending and an understanding of the whole gamut of what is the life and the death. An understanding that it's just a continuation, but it's also letting go of fear of what that means, and being able to go out of your body and come back into your body. Soul travel is another name for it. He performed some pretty amazing yogas or techniques in order to give us, humanity, the glimpse into the supernatural and into what is possible for every human being with the hard work. Swami, as well as Shirdi Sai Baba and many other saints who are in India, not only India, there's Padre Pio or other saints or other traditions, were able to perform miracles. But particularly, Swami and Jesus had a special relationship that goes all the way back to when Jesus was here on the planet. In order to come in, any master, any divine soul, any soul, really, who comes on the planet has to go through a training phase, a testing phase before they recognize or remember, because when you're born, this covering called Maya covers the soul's remembrance of what it really truly is. And so in order for these masters to remember what they came for, they all had to go through some intensive practice in sadhana and meditation. They all had a teacher or a guru or master that would help them to remember. So Jesus had a teacher. He was in India. There's writings in Tibet. Why did he come here? He had to learn. He had to learn these techniques. Now, initially, him learning these techniques started when his mother was pregnant, because she was also doing sadhana. She was a very high divine soul. And so she, while pregnant, were doing these practices that also the baby receives. So during that time, he was being trained as well in the womb. So it started way before he ever birthed. So he had to do these meditation or these sadhanas. Same with Swami. Swami didn't really understand until Shirdi Sai Baba came to him at the age of 14 and said, you need to remember. You need to remember what you're doing. And he came to him and took away that layer of Maya that covers the soul from remembering. Also, Jesus appeared to Swami and said, do you remember me? And he said, yes, I do. And he said, do you remember what you promised? And Swami said, yes, I do. He said 5 times he gave Jesus the assurance that he was going to bring forward this knowledge that was given during Jesus's time for humanity, but got lost. That link, that bridge got lost. What did they do? What did they accomplish? They accomplished mastery of the 5 elements. In order to do miracles, you have to really understand how to master the 5 elements, how to connect to Mother Divine, the angels, Shiva, because there's permissions that need to happen in order to provide these miracles for people. And where did they get this knowledge? The ancient palm leaf books. Swami had the great fortune of being able to have these ancient palm leaf books. Not only that, he was able to decipher them, because Paul can attest, he's helped to decipher some of them. They're not easy. They're written a little bit in code. So there were these ancient books that were written by the rishis. I believe Swami had a book written by Jesus. So
Why don't we
all these mantras.
why don't we show one of these palm leaf books?
You got a picture? So the palm leaf books have these formulas, these mantras that are like a roadmap. Swami's greatness was that he was able to extrapolate from these texts what was necessary for humanity at this time. And then before actually teaching them and bringing forward, he would test them out himself, do the processes, what the results were before bringing them forward to the students. So both masters, both Jesus as well as Swami, were able to really learn and implement these practices. Swami also, during the time of Jesus, was there in another incarnation. He was there helping during that time as well, helping Mother Mary as well as Jesus. Here you can see a picture, and these books are not big.
They're like 2.5 inches by 8 or 9 inches. And what are we looking at here, Kowski?
This is Mahakali. This is a picture of Ma, and also on the other side is that Shiva Lingam on the other side. But this is Mother, and what's special about Mother in this yantra, this is the Mahakali yantra, is in her eyes. You'll see bijas. Bijas are seed syllables of creation that are in a lot of the mantras because they have a specific energy to them. And these are written in Telugu.
So the third eye is G. And then on the two eyes, it's the Shiva S, SS. And then here is S, Sa. So it goes Jesus. This is written in the book, Life and Times of Jesus Christ, where Swami talked about the process. He talked about the processes of Mother Mary, what it took for her to be able to give birth to a divine soul like Jesus. So the similarities here is that Jesus, as well as Swami Kaleshwar, studied the books. These palm leaf manuscripts are 3,000 to 4,000 years old. And it was something that we carbon dated from one of the palm leaf books. A lot of these palm leaf books talks about the processes that not only Jesus performed, but also Swami Kaleshwar. Swami took these ancient palm leaf manuscripts and the formulas and synthesized it down and tested it and shared it with his students. That's why in this path, to be able to do the mantras, these are not ordinary mantras like Om Namah Shivaya. These are mantras that are linked with yantras that are designed in processes in order to have an outcome. The ultimate outcome is to master the 5 elements, but also to connect to a divine soul like Shirdi Sai Baba, Jesus Christ, and Mother Divine. That's what's so amazing. Our objective here in this course or in this webinar is to start bringing together the similarities, which Kowski talked about, that are so similar.
And we'll get further down, we'll start comparing the miracles that both of them did. And you're going to see that they are very similar. A little bit of a different view, but they're very similar. They're the same concept of what they performed.
So Kowski, why are miracles so important to understand on the spiritual path? What role do miracles have? And is it really that big of a deal? Or is it to get to the source of the miracles? Where do miracles come from?
That's a very good question. Miracles are something that allows the mind or the person to be able to see something that is out of the ordinary, that you can't explain. It's being able to manifest God's energy and power in some kind of form or action. So when somebody witnesses a miracle, it changes your perception of life, because now you're going, wow, that's unusual. That's not your everyday occurrence. And it starts having you question, and you want to delve deeper into what is behind all this. How did they go about doing the miracles? Jesus said his students were going to be like him or even greater. What does that mean? That means that with our hard work, with our connection to our teacher and to the divine, we are also capable. So when we witness a miracle, some opening, some door happens, some energetic transmission occurs that we can feel. Those of us who've been able to witness some miracle energy on a soul, deep soul level, you have this recognition that you are not just this body. You are the eternal soul that's always out. And how do I remember and how do I get back to that knowing? And so when this miracles happen, you're receiving a lot of high positive energy. You're opening that door, especially the soul, maybe opening your third eye a little bit to seeing what's beyond the mundane. And at that moment that a miracle occurs, it's like everything stops. Everything stops. Your mind stops. Everything stops because now your soul is remembering. It's like you have this awareness. And then after you leave, you go, wow, what was, let me think on and understand what took place. But from a gut or a soul level, you remember what your true form is. So the purpose of the miracles really is to help people remember we're not this body. We are the eternal soul constantly researching to go back to source and to recognize our potential to come on the planet and help humanity in whatever capacity or whatever we're guided to do. And that's the purpose. Swami used to do a lot of miracles initially, and then he was like, okay, they're just chocolates because now you have to really understand. Now you have to do the work and you have to understand. You have to start doing the processes so that you start learning and becoming masters of on your own. Jesus performed many miracles. It was to help the people? Yes. But was it also to get them to start waking up and following him and going, wow, there's something more here that we need to look at?
It's like all of a sudden God pulled aside the curtains and all this light and all this energy and all this divine manifestations happen. It's as if either through the grace of a saint, they'll pull a miracle. They have access to angels. They have access to Mother Divine. They have access to the miracles behind the five elements. So they're able to open doors, create a vortex, create a channel, and manifest this. I remember this very clearly. In your group, Jonathan Rosen was involved in a miracle. Swami was in the Mandir, and he needed to perform a miracle to Jonathan because he was at that stage that he could handle the energy. He said, what happened was that Swami was in the Mandir. It was just him and Swami. And Swami just waved his hands in the air. And then all of a sudden, Jonathan said it was like a tornado opened the ceiling of the temple. And then all of a sudden, a hand came out of the ceiling and gave Swami a power object, which he then gave to Jonathan. So it's almost like that. It's like the veil of the five elements disappears and God's energy, hand, form, whatever you want to call it, appears out of nowhere. For Jonathan to have that experience, all of a sudden his mind stopped. He said his mind stopped. And he was witnessing these with his two eyes, the manifestation of God and human existence touching. Boom, like that. So in that moment, Swami Kaleshwar knew exactly what he was doing. He had the mantras, he had the techniques, he had the process, he knew what he was doing. And then he manifested into the creation from a place beyond our concept. And so he manifested something that held, like a power object, that held the energy of the divine in this creation.
Okay. So you said it popped Jonathan's mind. But what is the purpose, really? What is the purpose for doing all these miracles?
Look at the results. I can talk about my personal experience. I could talk about the reason why I went to India was because I was at the end of my rope. The world had no real nectar to it, no real purpose, no real divinity in it. I was working 16 hours a day. I was pursuing all the material wealth that I thought would make me happy, but I was supremely unhappy in my life for whatever reason. But I really felt that there was more to life than just the regular routines. So when I met Swami Kaleshwar and he performed miracles, whether it be manifesting sacred ash or putting his hand into hot coals in a fire pit, or participating in a process, every time during these moments, the divine energy would enter the room, and I got a glimpse of that. There was supernatural energy available to me. In the moment of the miracle, I sensed there was a power greater than me. And it gave me inspiration. It gave me hope. It allowed me to see that God really existed. And it wasn't a theory written in a book that was created by mortal men that I'm supposed to just take for granted or just take it on word.
Face value.
So for me, and for a lot of people, they're looking for, how do I access the supernatural energy for whatever reason? Because you wanted to increase the faith and trust that God's power exists, which is one of the second reasons. One is to glimpse the supernatural. The other reason why saints do this is to instill and increase the faith of the devotees. We all know that we walk around like half zombies with, does God exist or does God not exist? Let's face it, the world is a thick place. And we're being bombarded with material stuff that is perpetuating the matrix, perpetuating the hamster wheel, right? How many people can relate to the hamster wheel? It's like you wake up and where's my first cup of coffee so I can feel half human? When I wake up in the morning, I try to meditate because that sets the tone. I can feel my soul connecting to the divine energy, and you go into that bliss mode because you connect. And that's what's so amazing about these experiences. So we talked about the second thing, increases your faith in trust that God really exists. There's also the transmission of healing energy that happens during these miracles. I know I sound really excited because I am excited because I experienced it, because I can remember the times and the moments where I experienced a miracle and I felt like this healing energy just descended into my body and my soul. And I felt every ounce of my body absorb those vibrations. Oh my God. You know, God is here and I'm feeling this energy. It's a bit intense, but healing happens during it. The fourth thing that happens is that when you have these miracle moments, and I experienced this when I had my original darshan process experience of Jesus Christ, I became so filled with humbleness and gratitude for that experience that it transformed the rest of my life since then. And that was in 2008.
Yeah, I will have to say yes.
Yeah, because
that is true.
calcium,
Because with my experience with it, our group also received darshan, or the process to connect with Jesus deeply. And all I remember is that that experience opened my heart dramatically, like wide open. And then I had a remembrance of knowing, it was like this soul knowing that I've known Jesus forever. I've just known him forever. And tears of gratitude and humbleness. And it definitely changes your life because that energy transmission is pretty amazing. And for all of us, we don't know on a soul level what we're able to receive from past lives. I don't remember past lives, but we don't know what we've done in past lives that allow us to have these experiences now. And so as we're doing the work, each one of us, all of a sudden you could be sitting in your room and have an experience because now the time cycle and your hard work and you're purifying out and everything coincides for that door to open and you to have an experience. So it's not like Paul and I are special. Everybody's special. And if you do the work and you're changing your energy and you're purifying, that moment can happen anytime.
It actually did happen. We were able to go 2 years ago to Mount Shasta. We did a process. It was a retreat in Mount Shasta. Just so you know that the legacy of Sri Kaleshwar still continues, and the miracle energy is very tangible and very much available. And we went to Shasta over a long weekend, 4 days, and
Like connecting to Jesus's energy.
that was the intent of the weekend. And we had amazing miraculous experiences, and we had amazing affirmations from the nature that the process was successful. A lot of amazing opportunities are available through meditation, classes, seminars, and retreats. And we're going to talk about that later on because we're in the process right now of leading up to Guru Purnima, which is going to be a profoundly strong opportunity. Everything, miracles and processes always happen around certain cycles of energy: full moons, new moons, Shivaratri, Guru Purnima, Navaratri, and Christmas, all
Easter.
Yeah, exactly. We're in the midst of it right now. So let's talk about the next section, which I am very excited about. Kaushiki is going to share with us a list that we researched about all the miracles that Jesus performed. My section will talk about a list of the miracles that Swami Kaleshwar performed. And I'm actually going to share with you a video where he actually performed a miracle while at his ashram in India. So Kaushiki, be a channel for Jesus. Share those miracles, please.
Okay, great. So the reason we're doing this is so that we wanted to compare what Jesus did and what Swami did. And what we found out is there's a lot of amazing similarities. And now this doesn't just end at Swami or Jesus. Baba also did many miracles that are the same. There are other saints that have done the same kinds of things. For sake of time and the fact that this is Easter weekend, we wanted to compare what Jesus and Swami did because they're very similar. We know that Jesus did a lot of physical healing, healing the lepers, healing blindness, a woman touching his clothing and was healed. So there's a lot of the healing on the physical level, which basically is transforming the body's elements in order and to start stimulating that self-healing process that we have. Just so many they were talking about. It's paralyzed man being healed, someone who is deaf and mute was able to hear and speak, someone's ear that had been cut off, it regenerated. casting out of demons, which is really interesting because when you're in that divine energy, we all have that capacity to remove negative or entities, feeding the masses. Couple things as far as demonstrating mastery over the elements when he walked on water, he calmed the storm, turns water to wine, that's shifting the elements.
By the way, I was actually there during a miracle that Swami changed water to wine in front of half a dozen people at the ashram. He did it on 2 different occasions, actually. Quite amazing. And if I may, just one second, the one time that he changed water to wine, he passed around to all of us in the group that was there. We tasted it, and it was the most amazing wine you could ever be able to taste. It's better than any Cabernet.
Wow. And then also Jesus raised the dead, Lazarus. Also, what is not in the Bible is Jesus, when he was in India, wanted to connect to the angels. Elephants have this propensity to really connect to the angels in a big way. They have those big old ears, and so they are able to really hear, and they're very sensitive. Elephants are highly sensitive. And so he put himself into the body of an elephant to experience the angels. That's a big yoga. They're doing these to help. It's good to feed the masses, that kind of thing, but it's also to change their perception and get them to wake up. All of these are about getting people to wake up to what is behind the mundane and to follow him. And so he could teach. He wasn't holding on to the knowledge. He wanted to teach the knowledge. He taught it to his disciples. And so he was out hoping that the people who were really connecting and wanting to know more would follow him so he could teach people.
He actually wanted to, I think that leads itself to have his devotees do the same processes. Like they say in the Bible, Jesus said that my disciples will be greater than me. And I think that was his hope. But at the same time, Shirdi Sai Baba also, he said that those people who come to my samadhi, they will receive tremendous amount of miracle energy and blessings. Same thing with Swami Kaleshwar. A lot of these miracles are very dramatic, but you can see that the divine communicates to us in our meditations and during dreams. And that's really a way that people can really gauge that they're receiving miracle energy too. Whenever the miracles happen, Mother Divine is participating, but so is Shiva. And Shiva is oftentimes in the form of a divine soul, divine saint like that. Your faith increased, right? After this thing, it was like, wow.
Yeah, I'm heating up even as we're talking about it.
Yeah.
I'm heating up.
Yeah.
My body's really starting to generate a bunch of heat. I'm even starting to sweat. There's so much heat being generated as we talk about it.
Yeah.
So I know there had to be some kind of shift energetically. That's probably the best I can touch with this simple body of mine.
And all this stuff happens on a supernatural level that we're not fully conscious of. So it seems like we need to get into that trance state where our soul leaves our body. And soul traveling happens as a natural progression several times a month. It's just that we're not conscious of it all the time. The beauty of this path is that as your soul begins to get stronger and more able to be conscious and aware, what's happening is that you can consciously be aware like you were in the dream. Hey, I'm here. Oh, wow, look at this. Swami's doing a process. I am participating at the soul level in this process. And look at all these other people that are here. It's a gathering of the souls, which is a miracle. It's period, full stop. That's the miracle energy, because your soul is touching the divine. And that's what's so amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it. I'm going to also share the sections of Swami Kaleshwar with that lingam that you talked about. And I think those are the real amazing moments in life where you're actively involved with it. So we're going to talk a little bit. Kowski, were there any other miracles? We have all these miracles that Jesus did and performed. They're all in the Bible. And we had a list of them. It was just amazing. It's just, he healed countless number of people.
The one thing that they didn't have in the Bible, though, is because only Swami brought it forward. And that was what happened during the crucifixion. So during the crucifixion, Jesus made an agreement with Mother Divine. He wanted to understand the life and the death. What is that cycle? And so he was like, do what you will, but at the end of it, I get to understand the life and the death, but I also get to merge with Mother. And so during that process, and Paul will talk a little bit about Khandana yoga, which just means cutting and refixing. If you look at the crucifixion, he used several different techniques, which was using the Kala chakra, which is the time cycle, in his favor. He also, with the whole process of the crucifixion, was a Khandana yoga. Even though his body wasn't per se like Swami did with demonstrating with the bird, he was still cut. His body was broken, but he also was able to soul split, which means he left just a portion of his soul there and take the rest out, so he didn't get damaged on a soul level. And he connected deeply with Mother Divine and Shiva to be able to take that physical pain, so he didn't experience that. And then afterwards, if you look at the Pieta that Mother Mary is holding Jesus on her lap, she knew techniques. She used the sacred ash. She knew techniques, the womb chakra, because the mother has a huge connection to their child because they birthed them, and they are connected via the womb chakra all the way back to Divine Mother's womb chakra. So she was able to call his soul back into the body, fix the body. So it was a huge demonstration of the divine energies of understanding the life and the death. He also merged with Mahakali, the peak form of the mother, to be able to demonstrate these for humanity. And in that process, I'm sure whoever witnessed it got an amazing, mind-blowing experience. So Paul's going to talk a little bit about, even Baba did Khandana. These are high yogas, and of course, these are masters. So something for us to aspire to.
So you can see the purpose of us sharing these stories isn't to glorify the miracles, but to understand the mechanism, right?
Yes, understand the mechanism.
And part of the mechanism of miracles is to consciously, through process, to be able to access the energy, the source of the miracles, which is the Shiva Shakti energy. That's why Sri Kaleshwar was so intent to have his students to be able to access Mother Divine. Why? Because she is the source of the healing energy, one part. So when you're talking about healing, you have to understand Jesus had a relationship with Mother Divine and Shiva. Sri Kaleshwar had the same relationship with Mother Divine and Shiva. Shirdi Baba also was able to access the energy of Mother Divine and Shiva. Swami Kaleshwar's process and purpose is to get people to the place where they have the same soul capacity as Jesus, so that they could handle the negativity and to be able to invoke and introduce the healing energy of Mother Divine and Shiva. That's the whole process of the Sri Kaleshwar University. The healing that we teach, what we're doing is helping all the students to be able to connect to the angels, to connect to Mother Divine, to connect to the divine souls that are part of the tradition, that are there to help us make that connection so that we can experience it, like Terrence said, so that they communicate directly to us in dreams, in real life, through the nature. So what are these processes that Swami Kaleshwar introduced? He had a series of techniques, the 5 elements, the outer elements, the inner elements, Surya Nadi, Chandra Nadi, Data Kriya, womb chakra. You know, we talk about the womb chakra a lot here at the temple. Why? Because that's your creation point, okay? But the creation point has to be purified so that we can manifest and connect to Mother Divine in a conscious way, not in a selfish way, but in a serving way, so that we can be instruments for the divine, so that we can experience the divine energies, so that we can experience the miracle energy, so that we can experience God's force through us. How does that happen? Very simple. Swami Kaleshwar used mantras, yantras, and the processes to get people to receive quantums of energy. And when you receive those quantums of energy, your vibrational field expands, your soul energy expands, your connection, your intuition expands, your consciousness expands, your belief systems get purified out, your perception gets purified out, so that we can hold more of that Christ consciousness in us on a day-to-day basis. That even in the midst of a storm, we're able to handle the poison and balance it. That's the miracle. And then automatically, when you're connecting, automatically your soul connects to the divine, you feel lighter, you feel happier, you feel more present, you feel God's energy, even in the midst of chaos and turmoil. So that's part of the Sri Kaleshwar path and his mission to create masters and to create people that have the ability to connect to the divine themselves. So that was my download for the day. Yeah, because I've been doing this for 25 years, 14 years in India with a saint. And even when I came back, I had to digest that energy. What did I receive? Is it real, or was it just a big dream? And how has it changed my life? Am I happier? Am I lighter? Is my heart open? And is my heart open to the people around me? Is my heart open to the divine? Those are the questions that I posed. And I would say yes to all of those. Okay. I want to be able to share a video with you guys of Swami Kaleshwar performing a miracle. It's very apropos. And Terrence, it's the same video, but I'm going to start it at a different place where he came in and he was working with the divine energies in a way where he wanted to balance the elements. You'll hear us talk about the elements are such an integral part of the masters who connected to Mother Divine. It's all about understanding the energy of the elements. Sri Kaleshwar was able to use the water elements to purify. Shirdi Baba was able to take his stick and hit the ground, and then water would spurt out of it. That was one of the miracles that Baba used to do. Jesus was able to master the water element by walking on water.
Jesus's element really was the water element, because that was the bleeding, which is also earth. He was the Piscean age. It was the water element. Now we're into air.
And Shirdi Baba was the fire element. There was a story about a kid that had fallen into
It was on the way to be falling in.
Yeah, on the way to be falling in, 10 miles away from Shirdi Baba. And the mother just simply panicked. But the first thing that came out of her mouth, because she had faith, was like, Baba, help me. And you know what's really funny? On the other side of it, Shirdi Baba puts his hand into the fire, and people are looking at Baba, not knowing what he's doing. And it's, oh my God, Baba, you just put your hand into the fire pit. What's going on? Till later that people realized that it was through the fire element that Shirdi Baba's soul was able to connect 10 miles away
and
save that baby.
Falling into the fire.
And that was his soul capacity. And so we're going to through the list of miracles. Khandana Yoga. Khandana Yoga is destroying and refixing something.
Cutting and refixing.
I was there when Swami Kaleshwar worked with the same Khandana Yoga. He performed it on a chicken. The head was cut. The chicken died. And then within 24 hours, the chicken came back to life. Jesus, the same thing, but he used his body. They crucified him, which was a death in a sense to the physical, but his soul didn't. But then Jesus came down off the cross, and then through a process of miracle energy, he was able to have his body refixed, his soul refixed. Same thing with Shirdi Baba. Shirdi Baba did the same miracle of Khandana Yoga. It's written in the book. I can just imagine what was the karma of the woman that at 2 a.m, she came to Shirdi Baba's temple. She walked in, and lo and behold, Baba's body was cut into pieces. An arm is over here, a leg was over there, Baba's head is over there. So she freaked out. She called the police, and she said, Baba's been killed and murdered by some crazy person. Then the police and everybody in the town went to Baba's masjid. Baba was simply sitting at the fire pit, smoking his chillum, looking at everybody as if they're crazy. Excuse me, it's 3 a.m. What are you doing here? And people are like, this is what happened. So this is the demonstration of all these saints are so much in the soul level and not so much identified with the body, because they've pierced the illusion of death and life and understand that their inner consciousness and their soul is stronger than the illusion of the death of the body. So now I'm gonna play a video of Swami performing a miracle. I was there and it was just amazing. But I'm gonna stop talking so you guys can just experience it yourself. You can see how he's talking to the fire. Look at him. He's using his fire finger, and he was so masterful with the fire element. He knew what he wanted. Okay. Yeah, it was an amazing process. And being in that particular space or being so linked in the moment, just no thoughts, just following the directions and the energy of the manifestation. You can look at it and really see the miracle as it's unfolding. And he gave us a little glimpse by saying the water and the fire element balance, then pull it up. That's the level of mastery that he was at. Hey, I think it's been a really wonderful sharing with you guys. Before we leave, I'm just going to give a couple of short announcements. We plan on having a couple of classes and courses coming up. Womb Chakra is May 18th.
10 a.m. Pacific time. That's a Sunday.
And we're also planning to see when is the best time to do a retreat. And the retreat is in the process of planning and figuring out that way you can immerse yourselves into practices, meditation, mantras, community, being together with other people, doing specific practices for a specific outcome. For sure, we're going to be having Guru Purnima happening in July. We're going to also announce it. But right now, the womb chakra is our next class, and also 5 elements class. And also, for those people watching, I would recommend sending us an email, and it'll be linked either instant message over at Facebook or YouTube, and we'll put you on a mailing list so that as courses and classes, short and long, are going to be happening, that you can participate. Any other points, Kowski? And then we'll do a quick 5-minute meditation where you can just quietly sit and meditate. If you don't have a mantra, you can use Om Namah Shivaya. You can do your personal mantra silently inside as we do this. Do it for 5 minutes. And let's really connect to the divine energies this webinar has been really amazing. I've been feeling the energy here.
Mhm.
Jesus is present, Baba is present, Swami Kaleshwar is present, Mother is present, because wherever you have a Shiva energy, Mother's energy is also there. That's a mechanism that we strive to accentuate with everybody attending, that it's knowing how to pull the Mother's energy with the Shiva's energy, and how to pull the Shiva's energy through the elements, and how to pull through the silence and the trance to connect to the divine energies, and to be able to access all the knowledge and information and the vibrations at a very high level. So we'll sit for 5 minutes and we'll just silently just meditate, and then we'll close the webinar.
Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Thank you, everybody, for attending today's beautiful webinar. We'll be having many more coming up. You have a blessed Easter, a fantastic meditation, and we look forward to seeing you all again very soon. May Jesus's energy bless you, Baba's energy bless you, Sri Kaleshwar's energy bless you, and Mother's energies bless you, and all the angels. Take care, everybody. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you.